And they all look very similar during their early and middle embryonic development. Biologists have theorized that this is due to our relation to a common ancestor. So right on the top, they look very alike. Then here, the second, we see already that the fish and the amphibians share more characteristics between them, that the turtles and the birds are more similar. You know, we have here, then the mammals are quite similar. And as the embryo continues its development, the difference start to show. And the third, this is not first, second, and third trimester, okay? This is a very early embryonic development. So now, I want to show you a clip of a documentary thinking about men bringing in their physical bodies indelible traces of animality. Can you assist me? We will have to close and bring the clip. I'll show you this clip. It's a documentary called Your Inner Fish. PBS showed this a while back. There is a book, and excellent. And this, it's called A Journey into the 3.5 billion year history of human. I think it's, yeah, thank you. Can we raise the... Can you hear? Excellent. Thank you. Stick around.
The story of your mind and why it looks the way it does. Few people know that story like Neil Shearer. A scientist who spent much of his career tracing the origins of the human body.
I moved to the University of Chicago in 2000, and I came to Sharon as an anatomy club. And so I remember those first 3 weeks walking into the class. The medical students were just like I was years before, were just scared. And they almost invariably asked, Dr. Shearer, what are you a doctor? You know, you're a surgeon? You're a cardiologist? And they say, well, no, I'm just a paleontologist. And it's like, this looked like a white back. But it soon became clear that being a fish paleontologist is a very powerful way to teach human anatomy. Because often some of the scrotomass or bodies are seen in other creatures.
Now, we journey back through time to meet those creatures. A strange cast of characters. The ancestors you never knew were in your family tree. We owe a lot to these long-lost relatives. Ancient primates that lived in trees. We owe them our rich color vision. The way we grip with our hands, even our bad backs. Ancient reptilians. You can thank them for your skin and hair, your teeth, even your acute sense of hearing. And then there are mysterious fish that crawled onto land around 375 million years ago. Believe it or not, we can connect our necks, our arms and legs, the fingers on our hands, all the way back to these intrepid pioneers.
Thank you. Just the upper, yes. Thank you. Would you go while this, I hope you have enjoyed. If you saw this on TV, it was on PBS. I saw so many times, because when we like something, we, and it is very good. And help us understand some of the concepts that we are even discussing here today. There is a book and the DVD. I always find, in this case, the DVDs, because they have the graphics and the digital images and the things that they can do visually help us understand better things. Thank you. So, how did our species, the Homo sapiens, came to be? How did we evolved? In this diagram, we have the human species lineage. The last common ancestor of humans and chimpanzees, it was around 8 and 6 million years ago. We do not yet have its remains. It is the so-called mislinked, but gaps in the fossil record does not disprove evolution. It's very common. So about 6 million years ago, the chimpanzees' lineage and ours split. What happened to us after this split? You can see we are now here. This is us, the Homo sapien. You can see that we didn't evolve, like in a linear way. Just a moment. We did not march in a straight line to Homo sapiens. Instead, that first split gave rise to many other hominids that are now extinct. And examining the fossils, the artifacts, and the DNA evidence of these relatives help us understand how this happened. Homo sapiens is the only survived species of the Homo genus, or genus Homo. So we are the only survived ones. It's not moving. Oh! Yes, there is something. The question is, it's okay, you can put, the question is, what is going to happen with us, What is going to happen with our species? Or we continue to evolve? How our bodies will be? We don't know, but we can kind of, think that since the beginning till now, we see lots of improvement, lots of things happening in beauty, our sense of aesthetical extent, if we compare with a Neanderthal, for instance, or even with the very first, they don't look like us. So there will be changes. We will continue to evolve. And the body that we will have will be suitable for our needs. So this is not the end. What we look today, what we already accomplished as species, is not the end of the line. There is much more that is going to happen. I brought 3 recommendations for you. Let's see. As you see, I love PBS. The first one, The Journey of Man. It is by Dr. Spencer Wells. He is a geneticist and anthropologist. There is a book and a DVD. Check the DVD first. Thank you, Bradley. Let me just be on the same page here. Dr. Wells, this is one, and I confess I watched 10 times. That's how much I like it. He traced the geographical dispersal of the early human migrations out of Africa. I told you before, there are DNA proof that we started there. And then what happened after we left? What was the migration routes? The other recommendation is First Peoples. It's a very brand new documentary from PBS. It's a 5-part, documentary, and explore the first peoples of Africa, Asia, Americas, Australia, and Europe. And here we learn that humans are a patchwork species of hybrids. They will show that at a certain point, and there is DNA proof today to show that the Homo species and the Neanderthal mated. We have some DNAs, 1%, 3% of Neanderthal DNA in our makeup. What is amazing, because if you read A Caminho da Luz, what is the translation? There is already a translation in English. In the Way of Light, from Emmanuel, and Emmanuel wrote this before 1950s. He talks about this, that this occurred. And now we have scientific proof of this reality. And the last but not the least, if you haven't done yet, visit to the Smithsonian National Museum of Natural History. They have an amazing display of human origins. Why have we been talking about human evolution when the topic's about animal soul? Human beings are animals too. Our spirit inhabits an animal body. Evolution is part of the law of progress, and this is a natural, divine law. Like us, every other living being went through a similar evolutionary journey. And I have here just a snapshot of the evolution of the horse. The origin of the horse took place in the Eocene period. And did you know that the first fossil of a horse was found in North America? I thought that was very interesting, and it was called Eohippus, is the first one there. And for those that have horses or intend to have a horse in the future, that's a very cool name to give to the horse. What's your horse name? Eohippus. The diagram illustrates this journey. The idea here is, what do we need to understand about evolution? That it has taken place from simple to complex in a gradual manner. That it does not march in a straight line. Remember the hominid lineage, we saw that. And that it takes millions and millions of years to occur. So again, evolution does not jump, It's not linear, and it is a long, long process. Different from progress. When we talk about progress, it's something that we can achieve in a short period of time or in a few incarnations. Because we have been talking a lot about evolution, I thought we need to touch this issue. This whole controversy shows how much we lack understanding about these topics. Evolution occurs after creation. Starts there. Evolutionary theory deals with how life changed after its origin. It is true that scientists do try to investigate the origin of life. There is nothing wrong about that. We think maybe it started, near a deep sea vent. Maybe it came with a meteorite or something from outer space. It is okay, they are theories. But this is not what evolution means. These considerations are not the central focus of evolutionary theory. So regardless of how life started on Earth, afterwards it branched and diversified. This is a concept I want you to have. In most studies of evolution are focused on these progressions. In the Spirits book, Kardec asked the spirits, can humans know the origin of things? They answered, no. God does not allow everything to be revealed to them here on earth. And he asks further, will they ever be able to penetrate the mystery of such things now hidden from them? The veil is lifted as they become more and more purified, intellectually and more morally advanced. That's what purified means. But in order to understand certain things, we human, need faculties that we do not have yet. So, as for the creation versus evolution theological debates, today many religious denominations accept that biological evolution occurred and has produced this diversity of living beings over billions of years of Earth history. They see no conflict between their faith in God and the evidence of evolution. And Spiritism doesn't see any conflict between those two things. Any conflict between science and religion. As if you remember, Spiritism has three aspects: the philosophical, the scientific, and the religious or ethical moral aspects. And those three has to be aligned and have to be logical and reasonable for us to accept. Now, if the human body is an animal body, how come we are created in God's image and likeness? In the book of Genesis, chapter 1, verse 26, we find the description of the sixth day of creation. It reads, "And God said, let us make Adam in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every crawling thing that crawls upon the earth. That's my favorite part. So there are two major ideas here in this passage. One is in regards to the nature of our spirit, the soul, and the other is in regard to our duty towards the animal. We today will be talking about the nature of our souls. What does Spiritism teach us in this regard? That God have created spirits simple and ignorant. And when we say simple and ignorant, we are referring to the intelligent principle, the spiritual element of creation. It is our spiritual nature that makes us in God's image and likeness. Again, our friend Kaibar should. I'll allow you to read while I drink a little bit of water. We are all children of God, humans and non-human animals. We all have the same origin, the same nature. We all have the same humble beginnings. We all must submit to the law of progress. And animals and humans, we find ourselves in different stages of the evolutionary journey. That's what happens. We are in different stages. A question for you. Do you think that God loves its creation differently? That God has preferences? The spiritual mentor Emmanuel tells us that God loves the earthworm and the angel, the pure spirit, who represents him next to the worm the same way. God loves the earthworm, if we think that the earthworm is a lower form of life. So God loves the earthworm and the pure spirit, the spirit that already reached its full potential. This spirit is representing God, is assisting, guiding, helping the creation in taking care of the lower life forms. God loved both the same. No preferences. God created us all, and God loves us equally. We are all children of God. Leon Denis, he was a spiritist philosopher. He's a very famous French spiritist philosopher. With him we learn about the intelligent principle, how the intelligent principle evolves. So in the book, O Problema do Ser, do Destino e da Dor, that I think would be translated something like the problem of the being, the destiny and pain. I don't know how they will name the book, but we find this quote. In the plant, the intelligent intelligence sleeps. In the animals, it dreams. It's a very poetic way of. Only with man, it wakes up, knows itself, takes control, and becomes aware. And from there on, progress, which is predetermined for the lower forms of life, will only take place by accordance with the human will in conjunction with the eternal laws. Spirits are always progressing. In our multiple physical existences, we may sometimes become stationary, but we never regress. This idea is important because for us, the law of progress means that once we reach, for instance, a hominal kingdom, we cannot reincarnate as an animal. This is a difference, one of our principles, difference from other beliefs that may think that we can. It's okay to think this way. We don't, for this reason. The evolutionary process at this level begins with the atom and is completed with the pure spirit. Again, pure spirits are those spirits that do not need to reincarnate anymore. They don't need to experience an incarnation. When they do incarnate, they do to help humanity. We do not know how the evolutionary process occurs between the atom and after what we will call angelic stage. But we can infer that after the human spirit reaches its full potential, learns everything it has to learn, and it's not entangled anymore in karmic processes, the evolution will continue. The same way we talked before, this is not our last, the end of the line for the physical body of the Homo species, of the genus Homo. Progress will continue. The same thing happens with the spiritual, with the spirit or the spiritual element of creation. But when we reach, after the angelic, what we call angelic or the pure spirit stage, I don't know what's going to happen, but I can infer that there will continue, evolution will continue on a different level. In our current evolutionary level, the spirit and material evolution are intrinsically interconnected. We need to incarnate. We need to experience matter with matter. They happen simultaneously, but not at the same rate. Why I say that? So we know that the material element progresses, evolves. The spiritual element progresses, evolves. But the progress of the intelligent principle starts slow. When it will occur faster when it reaches the hominal kingdom. And we find on question 609, we learn that nothing in nature occurs through an abrupt transition. There are always links that connect the extremities of the chain of beings and events. Our picture here shows the intelligent principle starts to become individualized. We have here. The intelligent principle starts to become individualized in the animal kingdom with the vertebrates, represented here as spirit with an S in lowercase. When the spirit reaches the hominal kingdom, remember the difference between animals and humans is the same as the difference, the distance that has between humans, the human spirit and God. So when the spirit reaches the hominal kingdom, the spirit human, progress will be as fast as the spirit makes the effort because of the free will that we enjoy. We can choose our path. If we want the hard way or the easy way. And sometimes we think, oh, this is the easy way, it's always the hard way, our choices. If we want to progress through pain or through love, it's our choice. So once we were created, this spiritual element, progresses, advances slowly and gradually, moving forward and upward towards God, toward perfection. God did not create us perfect, but perfectible. And in question 132 of the Spirit's book, what is the purpose? So why do we have to incarnate? To be incarnate, to be in a physical body. Why do we have to experience this? From intelligent principle to human spirit, we have to, we have to do this. Why? What is the purpose of incarnation, Kardec asks. God imposes incarnation for the purpose of leading spirits to perfection. And in order to reach perfection, we must undergo all the vicissitudes of the corporeal experience or existence. Why? Why do we have to? God could, think, I will do this different, but he chose this way. And Kardec explains to us that is in order, a purpose of leading us to perfection. In other words, only God knows. But Kardec says that it is God out of divine wisdom. The animal moves toward the human condition as much as man evolves in the trail of the angel of the pure spirit. I love this quote. And we are getting to the end. We could not talk about soul and not tap into the concept of collective soul or group soul, because we hear people talking about those things. This concept actually is not a spiritist concept. It's a theosophy, from theosophy. Was developed by Charles Leadbeater and Annie Besant. They are a second generation theosophists. And it stated that unlike human beings, animals, plants, and minerals share collective souls according to their species and degree of advancement. The idea behind this concept is that the elemental essence that we call intelligent principle experience, learns, brings back to the group, what they learn, their recently acquired knowledge, and share with all. In Spiritism, we see this a little bit different. We learn that the intelligent principle progresses gradually through countless experiences, passing through the different kingdoms of nature. So far, we think the same, seeking its individualization to become a spirit with capital S. However, within the animal kingdom, the intelligent principle in the lower forms of life will experience and learns as a group. In more complex forms, it starts to individualize. It starts. And in more evolved animals, it has already individualized. So as we conclude the presentation, we bring Emmanuel back. And we hope that we were able to show how the human and animal evolution are interconnected in both realms of existence, material and spiritual. That in our evolutionary journeys, we have experienced the different kingdoms of nature as intelligent principle and spirit with a lower case. And that animals physically and spiritually are our